Well. Clemson Tiger fans, college football fans, welcome back to another episode of the All In Show presented by our friends over at FanDuel. Go check them out over on FanDuel for your latest on all sporting betting odds, whether it's professional baseball you're watching, college baseball, any of the sports out there. Go check out our friends over at FanDuel and thank them so much for sponsoring the show. Got a ton to talk about tonight, guys. Going to get into, obviously, some football. Going to talk about some post-spring interviews that we were privy to. Going to talk about some what-ifs for the 2026 season. Obviously, hit on some recruiting news. As you guys have heard, there's been some movement on the recruiting trail for Clemson. Not all in a positive direction, but hey, we're going to talk about it tonight. And then, obviously, as always, we'll end with a little baseball, softball, basketball combo to round it out before we turn it over to you guys, the people. Get to your comments and questions at the end of the show. So thank you guys so much for being here. Hit that like button if you have not already. Consider subscribing. Me and Jordan do the show every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. We're here talking about Clemson football, college football, and other Clemson sports as well. So I hope you guys will stick around with us. Consider becoming a channel member. Got a join button right below this video. Just click that join button, select your tier, and you can become a channel member and help support the show and the work that me and Jordan do here. With all of that said, and without further ado, I'm going to bring on my co-host, Jordan Bowman. Jordan, what's up, man? How you doing tonight?
Good, man. We're on house duty. Oh my God, I can't even speak already. House sitting duty tonight. So we're hanging in there. Part of the reason why I was late, had to drive a little bit of extra ways to get to my mom's house. So this is where we're doing the show. So y'all hang in with me. But I'm just glad to be on here. And again, apologies for the late start, but we got a lot to talk about. We're not going to shortchange y'all. So it's going to be a good show.
Yeah, it's going to be a great show, guys. Got a ton to talk about. Quick shout out to the comment section before we get into tonight's show. John Sarian in here first, as per usual. Thanks so much for being in here, John. Appreciate you being a channel member and supporting the show in that way. That little symbol beside his name, not the wrench, the one beside the wrench, says that he's a channel member. So I want to thank him for his support and for being one of our moderators here. So thank you so much, John. Appreciate you stopping by. Author, another great channel member. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Air Mike, what's up? Happy Tuesday, brother. Thank you so much for supporting the show and being a channel member as well. We appreciate you. Clement's son is in here. Thank you for being in here, sir. Appreciate each and every one of you for being in here. Jordan, how's your week going so far? Been busy?
Oh yeah. That's an understatement. But no, it's been good. Same old, the rat race. You know how it goes, but we're hanging in there. I got my last minute tax stuff done over the weekend because I don't play with the IRS. They can't do it. So
one thing's for sure, they will get their money. One way or another. You can run away from the credit cards and the car payments and whatever other bills you want to try to dodge. I wouldn't advise doing that, but you can. But taxes, that ain't one of them. They will come get them for sure.
Oh, yeah. So that was most of my weekend. Obviously, watching Clemson baseball completely ruin a chance at a top 5 series win. So that was fun. I was literally finishing my taxes while that game was going on. So I was like double mad because
mad at the number that was on the screen.
Yeah,
the number that was on the other screen.
Yeah, exactly. So that was a fun experience. But that's life, and they seem to be taking care of business so far tonight. Though I think the last I looked, they did give up a 3 spot in the 7th inning. So let's hope they aren't blowing a lead to UNC Charlotte.
They're not currently. It's currently the bottom of the 8th inning. 7-3 Clemson.
Okay.
1 runner on, no outs. So they're not blowing it yet. But, anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
Obviously. Especially this baseball team. So I got it on in the background. I'll keep an eye on it while we do the show tonight. But same here, man. In the rat race, staying pretty busy. Softball's keeping me really busy. School season is winding down for my daughter. She's finishing up her last season of middle school ball, 8th grade year. So she's had a great season. They got 1 game left. So I'm excited for her to wrap up a really productive season, especially at the plate. So, shout out to her. And then she'll be rolling right into the long, daunting, never-ending travel ball season that never ends. Still don't travel ball, but
those of you that are uninitiated, he's raising the next great Clemson softball player. So, y'all make sure to stay in his good graces because we don't need him sending her somewhere else.
That's right. I'll do it. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but I'm happy for her, and I know you're a proud dad. And
For sure.
Excited to see what she continues to do.
Yeah, she's killing it. But yeah, I guess it's time to get into the show now. We got a lot to talk about. I know it's the middle of the off season, but we got quite a few really good topics tonight. So I say we stop blabbing about our lives and get into what the people came here for. How about that?
Oh, yeah.
After all, guys, this is a football show. So we'll go ahead and kick the show off with a little bit of football intel. Jordan, we were privy to a couple of post-spring interviews from players. And I know we talk about this podcast a lot. We mention it a lot during our show, the Two Right Turns podcast produced by Clemson Football. They do a really great job, first of all. Not to mention they have unlimited access to the players. So that kind of helps their content a little bit. But they do a really good job over there, right? Ross Taylor's doing his work over there. And he did an interview. And Gideon Davidson, in particular, had some interesting comments, Jordan. And if you listen to them, I don't think they were all that surprising to the fans that have followed Clemson football really closely, particularly over the past couple seasons.
Oh, yeah.
But it confirmed a lot of our suspicions, right? It confirmed what we already thought was going on and some of the stuff that we had already previously mentioned on our show, Jordan. So give us a little intel on what Gideon Davidson said, and then we'll kind of get into what we thought about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a very enlightening interview. I mean, it was Gideon Davidson and also transfer cornerback Elliot Washington, both I thought gave phenomenal, discussions, interviews. So, I mean, it's simultaneous, but, they both gave a lot of insight and just kind of what they, just their path to Clemson and kind of their experience this off season and all of that. But I did want to highlight it, especially Gid's part, because I think one thing that he really hit on was what he felt was a sense of entitlement from this team last year and why they weren't very successful. And, you and I have talked about it on this show. It was very obvious. I mean, your stars, a lot of your stars did not play like stars last year. Now, I don't think every single one was because of entitlement or there were other, mitigating factors for why the season went the way it did. But I do think a large reason was because there were too many players on this team that didn't feel compelled to play their best football. Whether they had already got the check, whether they just mentally checked out as soon as adversity kind of started to hit them. I mean, I really do think that LSU game did a number on them because I think they fully went into that game expecting to win. But even just throughout the season, obviously, and I think that miserable 16-3 deficit against Troy in week 2, I think that's when it really started to hit for a lot of players. And I think Gid really kind of shed a light on that. It was kind of an infectious thing within the locker room. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear my dog licking her bowl in the background, but we're good.
You're good.
Okay, good. So I really think that it was very enlightening from that aspect because this program has been on the steady decline for a number of reasons, and you've had a lot of players, highly touted players, come through the program the last few years that have not ultimately lived up to the billing, either in part or totally within their careers. And so I think it kind of shows you, kind of where the culture of this program had kind of started to settle into. The lack of, there was not a whole lot of competition. I mean, the coaching staff preached competition and talk about, it's like, oh man, we're having great practices. We're doing all this each and every week, and we're guys are battling and all that. But we knew that wasn't true.
Right.
We knew there were guys, the staff had their favorites. We knew the guys that they were going to roll with, and we knew that there were certain guys that were not going to get their spot taken, barring something catastrophic. So when you have that culture where There's no really incentive or pressure to get better because the next guy is not good enough or is not going to even get the opportunity to play. I mean, that's kind of the culture of complacency is what sets in. And I think last year was the ultimate example of that. Like, I don't think we could have had a worse a worse result than what we saw last year, with considering the level of talent on the roster.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, man. And hearing a player like Gideon Davidson, who was a freshman last year, obviously came into the team. I'm sure he worked hard. I'm sure he kept his head down, right? And he observed. And for him to come out in the interview and just kind of speak the truth, like, one, it's refreshing for somebody to just like answer a question openly and honestly like that. And two, it just kind of confirmed a lot of the stuff that we were talking about in season last year about a lot of your highly touted big name players that, got paid a lot of money to come back to Clemson. And, that was supposed to be the team that Clemson built to. That was supposed to be the team that proved that the quote unquote Dabo Swinney model was still a viable model in what is modern day college football, what is college football that we are currently in. And it did everything except prove that they can be competitive. And I think a lot of it started in week one when they got punched in the mouth by LSU. And frankly, I think a lot of quote unquote leaders on that team did not respond well. They were not leaders. And just because you're a really good player does not make you a leader, right? And I think that team had a lack of leadership. I think that was very clear because you see them follow that up with that Troy game, and you could tell they had not turned the page. They had not gotten over that LSU loss, right? So there was definitely a lot of red flags early on in that season, and it just did not get better. And I think he summed it up completely when he said there was entitlement on that team. We all saw it. But hearing somebody say it from the inside is a little bit different, right? Who was in that locker room each and every day, who was on that practice field with those guys each and every day. There was entitlement. And that's what has to be – that is one of the biggest things, I think, that has gone wrong in Clemson in the last several seasons. It's entitlement and it's complacency. They forgot how they got to be the Clemson that they were. And I think that goes for coaches too.
Oh, yeah.
Mainly the main man. Complacency. I know he's uber competitive. I know he wants to win. Everybody wants to win. But they forgot what it took and what they used to do in order to win, right? They stopped doing those things. They stopped doing the little things. And I think that's where Clemson started to falter. They started to slip. Yeah. Has other things contributed? Of course. The transfer portal has contributed. NIL has contributed. But it's more than that, right? And I think that was just a small glimpse into the internal workings of that program when you got a guy come out and say there was entitlement last year. And I'm not seeing that same entitlement this year. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Right? Still a lot of question marks on this team, but you like to hear the shift in attitude as far as the team. And I think a lot of that started this offseason, particularly with Tom Allen's side of the ball, when he brought in 9 transfers and was like, hey, guess what? You guys that are in here right now, you're not good enough.
Yep.
Point blank. He said it in interviews last year. And then he followed it up with going to get 9 guys who he thought was better than the guys in the room. If that don't light a fire under a player, then nothing will.
Right.
You got to breathe that competitiveness back into the program. You got to get rid of the complacency. You got to get rid of the entitlement. I don't care what your NIL deal says. If you're being outplayed by somebody who's got little to no NIL, guess what? That dude needs to start. So I think it was a really good interview. I liked how they were just both open and honest. and definitely gave us some glimpses into a lot of what the struggles were last season internally on that team. So shout out to Two Right Turns. Shout out to Gideon Davidson.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, great interview, and they also gave a lot of really good nuggets. Outside of that, just talking about the spring and how things had worked, because those two were obviously really big pieces, and two names that really came up a lot on either side of the ball. So it was nice to hear kind of their perspective, and obviously, Elliot Washington, he's going to play a massive role in this defense this year. Really, sure. I mean, I really think you hit on this one. And Gideon Davidson, obviously, in year two, kind of stepping into that role. Now he's the guy. Obviously, bringing in Chris Johnson Jr. is a big deal, but Gid is they still expect Gideon Davidson to be the guy that they go to, and he's going to get the lion's share of the carries, I think, and you'll use Chris Johnson Jr. in a number of other ways, as well as carrying the rock. So I'm excited for those two. I think they are, if you're going to have an improvement of a season this year, those two guys need to be, at their best and playing their best football. And, I'm, again, really excited to see those two out there on the field, and hopefully that all the things they said about kind of the difference from last year is true and not just lip service, because we've heard it before, but it's good to see a young guy come in and and observe that and notice a change and a difference. That's encouraging.
Absolutely, definitely encouraging. Before we move on to the recruiting aspect of football right now, Jordan, I want to talk about some what ifs for Clemson in 2026, right?
Yeah.
You see a lot of the over-under win totals come out this time of year, and a lot of talk of projecting what teams are going to be and what they're not going to be. 7-5 currently is Clemson's over-under win total, right? One, your thoughts on that. Two, if Clemson follows this last season up with another similar type performance, another 7-5 season, if you will, right? What happens then? How loud does it get?
I mean, it's about as loud as you can remember in the Dabo Swinney tenure. 7-5 would be flat out unacceptable. I don't listen. 7-5 is absolutely within the cards with this team.
Sure.
I can't just come up here and tell you that this team is incapable of winning only 7 games. I mean, considering what we saw last year, it's a different roster, different team. You've got coaches in different roles. Some possibly maybe improving from last year. You got players that have a chance to improve. You got a different starting quarterback. You got some new faces on the offensive line and on the defense. I'm not gonna say that this team is the same as last year, but when you look at the overall body of talent, do we feel about this roster like we did in the preseason last year? No, not even close. I mean, we were thinking that the roster last year had the makings of a national championship contender, and I still don't necessarily think that was. I mean, when you look at it on paper, that was totally off. But obviously, the way the season played out, it ended up being that way. But again, we don't feel about this roster like we did about last year's roster, and it's not even close. So I mean, we'd be lying to you if we said that this team is incapable of winning only 7 games. Now that would. Just because they can only win 7 games doesn't mean they should only win 7 games. And that doesn't mean that 7 wins is acceptable at a program like Clemson. It's not. I mean, no. 7 wins wasn't acceptable when Tommy Bowden was the head coach. So we're talking a step even below what the standard that Dabo Swinney has set. When you could, just count on Clemson winning at least 10 games a year, even in the non-playoff years. This is. We're not asking for much. I mean, if you're not winning at least 8 games this year, we're having some really rough conversations.
It's a problem. And due to the way that last season went, you're not afforded that quote unquote rebuild that this season was supposed to be on paper, right? You can't afford that rebuild, right? You got to go out there, you got to compete, you got to try to get back to competing within the ACC first step. But is this team truly capable of that? I don't know. That remains to be seen. I mean, it feels like somewhere around an 8-win team to me. But again, all bets are off. Anything can happen. I think it's going to be interesting to see kind of does the small bits of shakeups on the staff does that change anything? There weren't a lot of changes. There was one big one in Chad Morris, obviously. Does he bring some sort of different environment to that offensive staff, right? Do these transfers inject a different vibe in that defense? That all remains to be seen. But it feels like right now, somewhere around an 8-win team.
Yeah.
Give or take a few, right? Or give or take one. I don't see them much better than that at all. But again, we'll see. But Dabo Swinney's got it. I think what's important for the 2026 season for Clemson is it's got to, at least by season's end, right? It's got to look like it's heading back in the right direction. You don't got to go out there and win 12 games and go 12-0 and be in the college football playoff again, right? But it's got to look like it's clearly starting to move back in the right direction. And I think if that's not the case come season's end, there's going to be a lot of difficult conversations happening. And I'm not saying Dabo Swinney's getting fired at the end of 2026 or anything crazy like that. So, let's get all that out of the way. I'm just saying it's going to be loud if it's very clear that it's kind of just status quo, same old same. It's going to be a problem.
Oh, yeah.
Regardless of what the win total is. So I think that's kind of more where my head's at. I'm not wrapped around a particular win total this season. It's more of what does it look like? Are we moving back in the right direction? If not, does the win total really matter?
Yeah. And I look at it this way. When we talked about, in preseasons past, we would talk about, how this roster compares to the teams on the schedule, because ultimately that's going to be the biggest determining factor in wins and losses. It's college football. Jimmys and Joes is still the most important thing. Do you have the Jimmys and Joes or not? I think you have a definitively worse roster than 2 of the teams you play this year. I think LSU's got a better roster than you heading into the season. And
sure.
I think Miami has a better roster than you heading into the season.
For sure.
Outside of those 2 teams, every game is winnable. You should have a talent advantage, quote unquote, in all of the other games. We'll see about teams like Virginia Tech and obviously Florida State is interesting because they don't they are their roster isn't horrible on paper, but we've seen what they've been the last couple of seasons. So
does Mike Norvell make it through next season? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That might be that might be a dead man walking situation.
It certainly feels that way. It certainly feels that way.
Absolutely. If you feel like you've got 2, you feel pretty certain right now losses on the schedule. Obviously, that doesn't give you a ton of room for error in the remaining games, because like we said, I mean, this team is not good enough to in this roster is not good enough to feel like they are that they should just steamroll the rest of their schedule. I mean, I don't see that with this team. I think they've got some close games against some teams that probably on paper don't have the same level of talent as you. I mean, we saw it last year. With more star power on the roster. So, I don't know. My biggest thing is pretty much in a similar vein to you. I mean, it's just, how does it look? I mean, does the defense, especially the back end, does it get better? I don't necessarily expect the defensive line to be necessarily as disruptive. I mean, I don't think you have the same level of guys. I think you did a good job at replenishing, but I don't necessarily think like this is a defensive line that's going to be, one of the best in the country. I think you can be one of the best in the ACC, and that should be good enough. But I think more importantly is like I think you really did improve on the back end, and does that show in 2026? And obviously, obviously the big story is going to be Chad Morris's offense, Chris Vizina, the quarterback situation there. But just how does it look? Does the offense look like there's some sort of identity there again? Do they stick to their principles? Do they not abandon the run? Do they, are they setting the stage? Are they setting those building blocks for potentially reinventing and bringing back the Clemson offense, quote unquote. The Clemson offense.
Can we average more than 3 yards a rush?
Yeah, that would be a godsend.
Let's just start there.
Yeah.
let's get somewhere around 5.
Yeah. Those are the biggest things. And, can we get something out of special teams? That would be nice. I mean, we're looking at offensive defense.
I'd settle for no catastrophic mistakes out of special teams. Honestly.
Yeah, at this point.
I mean, luckily, hey, we've been screaming about it for a while, but we did hire a special teams coordinator. So
yeah,
about time. Finally, it took us, I don't know, forever, but
we'll see what happens. We'll see if we actually get some improvement out of that. But it's ultimately it's going to be how did those things look more so than a win-loss total. Although I do think seven wins is an absolute. I mean that's just embarrassing. I mean 7 games 2 years in a row. It's not going to cut it, man. There's going to be some serious questions, and obviously, I'm not going to point out any specific names on the coaching staff or players or anything like that. Because again, it's how does it look? Because right. If this team goes 7-5, what were the reasons? That's going to determine, whether or not really catastrophic changes need to be made. But it is a right the ship, and not right the ship as in, like you said, like going 12-0. We're not expecting that, but right the ship going, swinging the pendulum in the other direction. Because this is, you're at a really, really, really important crossroads, I think, as a program right now, at least in the Dabo Swinney tenure. I think that's pretty evident at this point.
It seems like such a pivotal year for his career at Clemson. As crazy as that is to say, it feels like such an important year for him. I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We'll see.
Oh, we will see.
All right, guys, I know for a fact most, if not all of you, listen to podcasts. So since you already listen to podcasts, you might as well go ahead and search Clemson Live. Wherever you get your podcast from, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Google, wherever, right? search Clemson Live. Give us a follow, rate, review, subscribe over there, right? All of our content is over there in podcast form, our long form videos, the videos that get posted throughout the week. Go check it out over there in podcast form. Sometimes people don't like to log on YouTube. You're working out, you're on a long drive, whatever the case may be, you like listening to podcasts more, you're just doing your work and you like to put an earbud in, make sure you're searching Clemson Live. Give us a follow over there, and we greatly appreciate you supporting the channel in that way.
Yeah, and leave a review as well.
Yes.
Leave a 5-star review. Those help a ton with the visibility on the platforms like Spotify and Apple and things like that. So we would greatly appreciate it.
Yes, thank you guys. Turning the page to recruiting now, Jordan. It's been a bit of a busy week, I guess, for Clemson. A lot of news coming out. Not all positive, but again, not all negative either. This is kind of still a little early in the game. Still got the big recruiting weekend coming up at the end of May for Clemson. The official visit weekend going to be like that last huge weekend, other than the all-in cookout a little bit later in the summer. But Clemson did have their official first decommit of the 2027 class in Seth Williams, safety out of Atlanta, Georgia, Lakeside, 6'2", 180 pounds, 3-star guy. Felt like maybe he committed a little too early, wasn't really sure, wanted to go on more official visits. So obviously, what's the policy at Clemson? Once you commit, there are no visits anywhere for any reason. So he goes ahead and decommits, and I think schedules a visit to Georgia Tech, if I'm remembering correctly. Yes. Your thoughts on this decommit? What does it mean for the Tigers? What does it mean for this 2027 class? And where do they pivot from here?
Yeah, I mean, I think you summed it up pretty well. I mean, I think, Seth, he committed, last month. And, I do think there was some it was a little premature. I think he wasn't necessarily as informed as maybe he should have been. And he definitely was, kind of didn't really think about the fact that he wasn't going to be able to take more visits when he committed. So, not the end of the world. I mean, if he decides to circle back around, good on him. And I mean, I think he's a good player. But I did think it was interesting. It was an interesting take, just considering what's left still on the safety board. Guys like Tayshaun Poole, Marquise Bryant, and guys of that nature, Chance Gilbert. I mean, you've got some pretty highly touted players still, in play right now. So I was a little surprised to see them kind of just take that commitment as early as they did. I mean, again, is what it that's kind of how Clemson operates. Once they offer you, you can commit at any time. So I'm not gonna say it was surprising, but I do think it's not the worst thing in the world with like I said, with the irons you still have in the fire at safety. So I think it's smart on him to make sure he's making the right decision. I mean, there's still a lot of time. We still are a month and a half away from the official visit weekend. So let him get those visits in. And if he wants to circle back around and feel like Clemson is still the right choice, the Clemson would absolutely welcome him still in the class.
Right.
Again, I do think he's a very good player, and I do think he's kind of been undersold by the recruiting sites because Lakeside is just not a very good program football wise, and not a very high profile program football wise. I mean, they're just they're in the Atlanta area. But there's just way bigger programs that kind of outshine Lakeside. And, when you're a good player on a not very good team, that tends to happen in a state as big as Georgia with all the talent that's in that state. So, I think it's if Clemson were to miss out on him, I mean, I do think that's a good player you missed out on. I think he's going to be with his ranginess, his ability to tackle, has really developed ball skills for for a safety and for a guy that's still kind of figuring himself out at that position. But I do think there's a lot to like about his game. So I think he would have fit well on this defense. And if he ends up going elsewhere, I do think that is a good player you missed out on. But again, you're going after other good players too at that position, and players that I consider higher on the board. So not the end of the world. So that's my thoughts on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. A loss is it's never a good thing when you got to decommit. Look, let's just face it. But not the end of the world. Still still relatively early on in the cycle. Clemson will pivot. They'll be just fine at the safety position. Wish him all the best. Hope he finds, what he's looking for out there and the landing spot that he's looking for. Let's talk about some other recruiting news for the Tigers. Jordan, what should Clemson fans be paying attention to this week? Heard a couple things out there. What do we need to know about the 2027 class for the Tigers and some of the newsworthy stuff?
Yeah, real quick, I did want to hit on the commitment that Clemson did get over the weekend, and defensive lineman Jaden Wuerth out of Dutch Fork. Obviously, high school of Clemson greats like Antonio Williams and Will Taylor. I think this is a really good get. I think he's a guy that's kind of underranked by the industry right now, and I know everybody thinks that their 3 stars are underrated and all that, but I do think this is a case where you absolutely got a blue chip talent. Jaden Wuerth's tape screams blue chip caliber defensive lineman. Kind of a tweener right now. I mean, he plays a lot of defensive end for Dutch Fork. I think he's going to ultimately develop and play on the inside. I think that's just kind of his body type. He's on the thicker end, 270. But he has the power and the explosiveness that I think will translate really well on the interior. I think this was a really good get for Clemson. Just continuing to get kids from Dutch Fork again, which historically has been a Gamecock stronghold. I think this is
got to steal them out of there every now and then.
Yeah, every now and then you got to go and get one, and I think this is a really nice add to your defensive line class. Again, because I do think he has the ability he has some positional versatility. He's kind of like Peter Woods light. I'm not saying that he's going to be as good as Peter Woods was, but I think he has that kind of archetype, that tweener body type, but that can ultimately develop into a really good 3 technique, but can play on the edge if you need him to in a pinch. That's kind of what I see him as. Yeah. So really excited to bring him in. And again, anytime you go get a kid from Dutch Fork, a really good player at that from Dutch Fork, that's a massive win, recruiting win, no matter how you slice it. So welcome to the class, Jaden Wuerth. Hopefully, obviously it's the commitments only mean so much. You gotta finish and you gotta get him to sign. So, and even then, that's not always enough. Boy, don't we know. It's a long way till signing day, and he has a lot of suitors. He has a really impressive offer list. So holding on to him, I think, is going to be massively important.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough job, but something that Clemson definitely needs to do in holding on to him. It's great to have a guy of his size and athleticism be on the interior of your defense. It's always a good thing. So shout out to Jaden Wuerth. Welcome to the Clemson Tiger family.
Yep, absolutely. In other news, so you got to go right. I went negative, positive, so now I guess I got to go negative again.
Sandwich it up. Sandwich
it up. Obviously, a big fish on Clemson's board is more or less officially off the table. In 5-star cornerback Josh Dobson. Officially announced. I mean, this was kind of trending in this direction for a while, so I can't say the Tigers are surprised or anything like that. But he formally announced that he will be visiting Auburn the weekend of May 29th. So will not be making it to the official visit week, the big official visit weekend, which
not a good sign.
Yeah, pretty much strikes him off the list, barring some massive change of heart. So not great. In-state kid, obviously, it's tough to go and get kids that are, in the Rock Hill area, but just not even being in the final schools for him is kind of disappointing. Again, not shocking, but it's disappointing. And Clemson did recruit him hard. I don't think it was really necessarily anything that they could have done. But I again, it's that was a recruitment that was shaping up to be what I'm sure you guys can guess. And Clemson is just not willing to play that game, and it's gonna knock you off the list for some of those higher profile guys. And so that's what we're working with. And so Josh Dobson, more or less, I don't have my recruiting board with me today, but I'm going to go ahead and, even though he hasn't formally committed somewhere else, I'm going to grade him out because I don't. Because
might as well go and red ink through his name. It's not happening.
Yeah, it's not happening. No,
it's definitely not happening.
Yeah.
I guess there's always a slim chance, but it's about as slim as it can get.
Yep. All right. Let me see what else is there to hit on. I mean, those are the three main things I wanted to hit on. Another tight end came off the board today in Grant Haviland, one of Clemson's top targets at that position, formally announced his commitment to Vanderbilt. So that one's not great either, but you still have a couple of guys that you're still in the running for. So not the end of the world. I think, Clemson is only planning to take one, so you only need to get one. But Grant Haviland would have been a nice add. And that was a commitment that Clemson at different points in the recruitment felt pretty good about. But it kind of took a turn. And so that's nature of recruiting. When you can feel good all you want, for as long as you want, but all it takes is one school, one offer, whether it be a scholarship offer or other types of offers. And it can a recruitment can change at the flip of a dime. So that's how it goes.
Those pesky pay for play offers.
Oh yeah.
I mean NIL.
Yeah.
My bad. I'm sorry. All right, we'll go ahead and leave the recruiting stuff there. Kind of a busy week on the recruiting trail for Clemson. A lot of newsworthy stuff. So we'll go ahead and leave that there. Before we get into the next segment, thank you guys so much for being in here tonight. We got 24 people in the live chat right now getting their comments in. As you guys know, at the end of every show, me and Jordan will go ahead, turn it over to you guys, the comment section, answer your questions, comments, all that sort of stuff. So make sure you stick around to the end. Got a couple more segments, and then we will be off to the races with what you guys want to talk about for the night. So hit that like button while you're in here. We appreciate your support. Also, make sure you're checking out the Voice of College Football webpage. Yes, we have our very own website. You can go check it out. It's vocfb.com. That's vocfb.com. It's your one-stop shop for all things Voice of College Football. Got articles written over there by a lot of great people. Our show schedule is always posted, so you know what shows are happening that day, what time they are, and what team channels they belong to. So go over there, check it out, vocfb.com, vocfb.com. Let us know what you think of the website, and we appreciate you supporting it.
Yeah, Isaac, I agree. mean, you're not even committed when you're enrolled. That's how it goes.
I think it's all crazy right now. There we go. Y'all bear with me. There's some technical difficulties right now. There we go. All right, now we're back in action.
Gotta love StreamYard, I tell you.
Hey man, it gets interesting every time. Every time I'm on there. They always change something for no reason. All right, guys, switching gears to the diamond. Talk a little baseball, softball. But we'll start off with the baseball team. Jordan had a big weekend, taking on number 5 ranked UNC, a red-hot UNC team that can absolutely mash the ball. Their pitching is elite. Just a really good baseball team. And you had your chances, right? You go out Friday, you host the number 5 team in the country. You come out Friday, Aiden Canuck has a great start, gave you, I think, 6 innings of great pitching. You pull off the upset, if you will, and you get the series started off right. And then you roll right into Saturday. And you're winning for a big portion of that game. And then all of a sudden, late, pitching slips a little bit. You let UNC back into the game. It gets tied up 4-4, heading into the bottom of the 9th inning, right? And I told you this before we came on the show, but between the 9th, 10th, and 11th inning, Clemson stranded 7 runners on base with the score tied the entire time. Just a very frustrating game to watch because it was a very winnable series at that point. You could have gone up 2-0. You would have been the series winner at that team at that time. Big ACC win that could have propelled you and got you back on track in the ACC would have been huge, just kind of for, the turnaround that you're trying to make for this season. But you just let it slip. And it's something we've seen this Clemson Tiger team do time and time again this season. This is nothing new. And then you go out Sunday and you just get steamrolled, which was not surprising.
No.
After the type of loss that they had on Saturday. I fully expected North Carolina to win that 3rd game, and I didn't expect it to be close, and that's exactly how it played out. So, Jordan, your thoughts on the North Carolina series? It just seems that this team's they are what they are, and they're not good.
Yeah. Really the whole story comes down to that Saturday game. Great win on Friday night. And you played a lot of the level of ball that we know that they're capable of. Mm-hmm. And what we thought they would be, they look more like the team we thought they would be going into the season and what they were for much of the beginning of the year. But man, when you're a base away from winning the ball game and you're in a 3-0 count and you hit into a double play. And I hate to rag on Nate Savoy because he's honestly been your best offensive player this year.
Yeah, huge guy. Been a weapon all year.
But that's awful, man. When do you swing there? When do you swing there? And
you don't.
And you hit it into the exact spot, the very last spot on the diamond that you should hit it to. I just between that and just how many opportunities you had to win that game, that was very, very rough. That was awful. Because UNC was practically begging you to take that game. They were leaving just guys on base left and right. They were getting. You were getting. I don't think the game was called very well both ways, umpiring wise. It was a very inconsistent strike zone, but you were getting favorable calls in the extra innings. You were doing everything that you possibly could have. You were getting every possible break you could have to go and take that game and take that series, and you just refused.
Every inning from the 9th to the 11th, you were in the driver's seat to take that game and win it. Multiple people on bases, multiple people stranded. I don't know how you don't get it done with the amount of opportunities that you had for 3 straight innings. How do you not get that done? North Carolina was basically begging you to take the game. And then finally in the 12th, they're like, well, Clemson's obviously not going to win it, so I guess we will.
Yeah.
And then they plate 2 runs, and obviously you do nothing in the bottom of the 12th, and they win the game. Just a really tough loss, man. Like, I really thought watching that game on Saturday that Clemson was actually going to take the series against North Carolina, which I did not expect going in. But, I mean, once you get that deep into a game, you're like, man, we're actually going to win this. Like, we're going to start 2-0 in this series. Who cares what happens tomorrow?
Yeah.
Like, they could blow us out tomorrow. It won't matter.
Yeah.
At that point. But, again, just can't get it done.
No, and
I agree, John. VZ was a bright spot this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, he's been a bright spot for a lot
really
of.
well.
He's pitched really well in most of his appearances this year. I mean, we were excited about the ad. We knew he hadn't played much when he was at Alabama, but we knew the stuff was really good. I mean,
Right.
the velo. I mean, just a guy that you just didn't have that many of those guys when you added him at that point. Now with this year, you have a lot of guys that are pumping a good amount of guys that are pumping 94, 95 plus. And so that's why we were so excited about it. But I think Bakich did put it well that, they have a lot of guys, they have a lot of bodies in that pitching staff, but they don't feel like they trust a lot of guys. And my biggest thing is even still the pitching is the best it's been, honestly, since Bakich has been head coach. I mean, numbers wise, it's largely been I haven't felt like pitching has been the reason you've lost a lot of the games you have. You've had some really rough moments in certain games, but I'm largely not that upset. I don't think the pitching staff has totally lived up to the billing, but they've also been better than it's been in years past.
Legernick was pretty bad on Saturday.
Yeah, Legernick was, my God. Yeah, I mean, that was.
I was like, why is this dude still in the game right now? Like, what are we doing? You ain't got nobody else in that bullpen right now? Like,
that was rough.
I don't know why we didn't turn it to VZ sooner.
Yeah,
that was my big, like, if you want to like question a coaching decision, like why do you not bring him in sooner?
Yeah, and I guess to their defense, I mean, I do think J-Leg has it in him. I mean, the stuff is obviously there. The stuff is there, but he just from game to game, like one game he'll give you 3-4 innings of just shutout, lights out, baseball, lights out pitching, and then the next game he's just throwing BP fastballs. Like I don't know what it is. He just that consistency from game to game is just not there with him right now. Yeah. He's better than he was last year, but he still has some really rough moments.
Yeah, he's got some more growing to do.
He's still got some more growing to do. But again, I don't think the pitching has had its moments, but I even still with all of that, I mean, because we talk about guys, stranding runners on base. I mean, I didn't even mention the fact that was it the 7th or 8th when UNC their ace reliever was hitting guys and walking a bunch of guys, couldn't find the zone.
Right.
You had the bases loaded. You were able to walk in a run. I think you walked in that 4th run to go up 4-2, and I think you still only had 1 out. And you hit into a double play in that inning. In it, I mean, ultimately that was. And, in my head, I was like, at the time, I was like, oh, that's right. I mean, you would have liked to have gotten some more insurance there, but that'll be okay, right? Nope, they gave it up in the top of the 9th, and obviously you go into extras. But, those are the moments where this team is so poor situational hitting-wise. I mean, they're not a bad hitting team in the aggregate, but they are so awful when they need a big hit. It seems like this team never gets the big hit, to salt a game away or to get back into it when you have an opportunity to get back into a game. That just so many times this year they haven't been able to do it. I think honestly the situational hitting has been pretty rough and has been the biggest contributing factor, along with the defensive struggles to you losing games.
Yeah, Clemson Clemson left 17 on base on Saturday.
I mean, that's disgusting, man. That's awful. I don't know how.
Yeah,
I don't know how you slice it. I mean, again, the pitching can be better, but we wouldn't be talking about the pitching nearly as much if this team was any good situationally hitting wise. They're just not. I mean, you guys can hear it in our face. Like, I mean, it's exasperating. I mean, this is the opposite of what you expect a program to be at in year 4 of a head coaching tenure. And how is this your worst team in your 4th season? And again, like, you know, we spent a lot of our time the last few years hyping up Eric Bakich and talking about how we think he's the guy. But I mean, this is, I mean, and to be fair, I mean, you can see it in his face. He thought this team would be better. I mean, he's flat out said he thought this team would be better, and he's kind of at a loss on why this team is so bad. Mm-hmm. But you know, just
I mean, you could see it in his face on Saturday. Like he was pissed.
Yeah.
As any coach would be, but you know, it's kind of how he put it in his post-game interview. It's like you had opportunities to win the game, and I kept saying the 9th, 10th, 11th. It was the 10th, 11th, 12th inning where they stranded those 7 runners. Yeah, so all in extras.
Yeah, I mean, and without, and like you had those opportunities without 2 of your best players. I mean, you don't have Tristan McClatty, you don't have Jaron Purify. I mean, right. And that's another thing. This team has been pretty unlucky injury wise, so
for sure.
I think that's played a factor. But like, it shouldn't have resulted to this. I mean, it shouldn't have come to this.
No, not at all. Unacceptable. The way that they're playing right now. And I don't really know if they have an answer, to be completely honest. Yeah. It doesn't feel like they do. It does not feel like they do. So, I don't know.
I'm at a loss. Did they go and close that game out against Charlotte?
They did. They did close it out. I think 8-2 was the final score.
Very good. Very good. I mean, at the least you can do is win your midweeks.
Right. Can we at least do that?
Man, I didn't even realize that at the end of the 8th, VC came in and struck out 3 with the bases loaded and no outs.
Yeah, he shut it down. Yeah, shut it down. Absolutely shut it down.
So, yeah,
3 straight batters, 3 straight strikeouts. Nobody scores.
He's a stud. I mean, you really got yourself one.
Yeah, he's a dude.
Yeah,
he's a dude for sure. So at least we got that going for us.
Yep.
If nothing else, we have that going for us. All right, make sure you guys are checking out the Voice of College Football merch site. Go check it out, VOCFB-shop. That's VOCFB-shop. Your one-stop shop for all the Voice of College Football merch. Here's your website right here. You go up here to the Teams tab. There's a bunch of different teams. Don't worry about those teams. All you need to worry about is Clemson right there. Go ahead and click that. Pulls up all of our merch, hats, T-shirts, sweaters, polos, tumblers, coffee cups, all the stuff over there. So go get yourself something nice and help support the show and what me and Jordan do here over on the channel. Thank you guys so much for that. All right, Jordan. Softball had a little bit of a bounce back this past weekend, obviously coming off of the loss, the series loss to Virginia Tech the weekend prior. They get another ACC series win. Should have swept Pitt, in all honesty. that Friday night game slipped away from them a little bit. I think they were up like 4-0, and then all of a sudden Pitt started storming back. They ultimately lose that Friday night game 8-5, but then go on to have a lot of hitting success over the weekend, posting 13 runs and 11 runs, respectively, in the next two games, and kind of just taking care of business when it came to that road series against Pitt. Looking pretty good so far. Just had a disappointing loss tonight, though, against the South Carolina Gamecocks, losing in McWhirter Stadium 3-0. Or excuse me, 3-1. It was 3-1 because who was it? Who hit the home run? Macy Centron hit the home run to kind of in the bottom of the seventh, and we didn't do anything after that. So thought maybe it sparked a little bit of a rally there, but ultimately we fall 3-1 to the Gamecocks. But at least they didn't shut us out like we shut them out, and they didn't run rule us like we did earlier in the season. So it's unfortunate to lose, but I'll take it.
Yeah. Hey, it is what it is. I mean, you didn't need the Palmetto point. You've already locked up the series, at least in that respect. So not the end of the world. And you hate losing at home, and you would have liked to have gotten the series sweep there. The 2-0.
That stadium was packed too for a Tuesday night, man.
Oh yeah, man.
I was watching on TV. I was like, man, there's a lot of people there.
Yeah. So shout out to the faithful for showing out. This team has been really up and down, but they've been
inconsistent hitting, and I think we talked about it earlier in the season, Jordan, but I think they got a pitching problem. I think they rely far too heavily on Manis. She struggled a little bit down the stretch of the season. She's starting to walk a bunch of people.
120 pitches tonight, didn't she?
She's controls a little bit shaky at times.
Yeah.
And when teams time her up, they're barreling the ball up. It's line drive after line drive, and a lot of extra base hits. So I think she's a really good pitcher. I just and John Rittman and that coaching staff is, in my opinion, always struggled with this. I've been following Clemson baseball or Clemson softball since kind of the beginning, for the most part. And I think they've always struggled with relying too heavily on one pitcher. It's just kind of been a pattern for them. And I think it's kind of much of the same of what they're doing there. You got to mix it up. You got to have more than one. And it doesn't feel like we do. Dunning's done a pretty good job this season as well. But, again, they lean heavy on Manis. She usually starts 2 out of 3 games on a weekend series, which is a lot.
That is awesome.
And when you're talking about these D1 elite level college softball girls hitting the ball, they see so many pitches from you. Again, it doesn't really matter how good you are. They're going to start, putting the ball in play.
Yeah.
And barreling the ball up. So I think that's their major issue. We'll see how well they can close out the season. They got a weekend series coming up against Virginia. It's a home series. So hopefully they can, continue to put some wins together. I think they're currently 500 in ACC play. So a series win against Virginia would be huge for them.
Yep. 100%. Shout out to them, but winning over the weekend though, and taking care of business there. And so hopefully we'll maybe see some, I don't know if this team is what it is at this point in the year, but
it feels like they are what they are. At times they mash the ball all over the yard, and at times it looks like they are never going to get another hit again. So it's just really inconsistent. But when they're good, they're good.
Oh yeah,
it's just not always that way. So
unfortunately.
All right, guys, Amazon link. I know most of you do a lot of shopping on Amazon. Here's how you can help support the show without coming out of your pocket any extra money, right? You go over to Amazon, you do your normal shopping, you go to checkout. The link posted underneath each one of our videos. There's an Amazon link. You copy it, you paste it as you're checking out, It helps the channel out, gives a little kickback to the voice of college football, and changes nothing about your regular checkout experience with your Amazon orders other than just simple copy and paste. So hope you guys will help us out with that. Again, underneath this video and every other video on the channel is the Amazon link. Go ahead and copy it, and as you're checking out, just use that link. Thank you. We're going to end the show with basketball before we turn it over to the comments section. And Jordan, we got to talk about Portal Brad.
Oh, yeah.
What's going on with Portal Brad? What's he got cooking over there?
It's that time of year. The portal season is officially in full swing. Had to go and get a big time shooter, I felt like, and I think they just went and did that. Brad Brownell goes in and signs Cole Certa from Notre Dame, a guy that was one of the best shooters in the ACC this past season, averaged just north of 12 points a game, just under 40% from three, but was really, really red hot to end the year. Had 30 points in three of his last, I think it was like 3 of their last 8 games. And he was an average over 19 a game during that stretch. So he really started to really shoot the lights out. And he's definitely one of the highest coveted, shooters in the portal. This is your Joe Girard, but he's bigger and he can play defense. I mean, so this is a really, really big get for for Brad and co. Obviously with everything going on, the retooling of the staff, I think it was important to go and get a guard that can really shoot the lights out. And I think that's what you got in Cole Certa, especially with Butta Johnson hitting the portal. I think he's going to try and get another, trying to get a waiver for more eligibility, because as far as I know, this was his last approved, official year of eligibility. So I think he's gonna pursue a waiver by entering the portal. So yeah, really big to add him in a backcourt that's going to bring back Ace Buckner. And obviously we're really excited about this core of players that you're bringing back. Already talked about Buckner, but you bring back Carter Welling. So far, you've retained guys like Dallas Thomas and Chase Thompson. So, hey, this is a really, really exciting young core of players. And they're only going to continue to supplement it with guys out of the portal. And like I said, Cole Certa, that's a really big get. I think they have, if my number is correct, I think they have 4 spots or 3 spots, either 4 or 3 spots available still to offer to portal players. So, going to continue to see what movement they get out there. I think you need to go and get another big. I think that's got to be the next focus. So we'll see where they pivot there.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots more work to do on that stuff for Brad Brownell. Lots more to do. Got to build that team. Got to put it together and get ready for next season. However, could he possibly have a little bit more help come next season when it comes to the financial side of things? Got a little bit of rumor mill going on around there, Jordan, with the rev share and basketball, and will that be revisited by Clemson? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's certainly an argument to be had. I honestly, in my opinion, I think they've earned it. I think they've earned a large share. I think Brad he's had to make lemonade out of the lemons he's been given. And it hasn't been much. If he didn't have the donor base he did, he would not be able to land some of the players, because Clemson rev share wise is close to the bottom of the ACC. They do not allocate a lot of the rev share towards men's basketball, not compared to their peers. I think that limits the pool of players that are ultimately available to you. And if for the people that feel like, this program, can take another step. I mean, you've made 3 straight tournaments at this point. You've been to an Elite Eight, but the last 2 seasons have been, first round exits. If you feel like this team, there's another step that they need to take, I think it starts with investing more from a university standpoint, not just relying on the NIL backing that you get from your donors, because other programs are doing both. The other programs in the ACC, especially, are doing both. And so if you're one of those people that is frustrated, with the first round exits and, maybe the inconsistency, as good as this program has been the last 4 seasons, there's still some people that, are frustrated with some of the results. So my thing to you is
money.
Give them more money. I mean, they'll get better players if they have more money. I mean, they've already done.
Yeah, I mean, I think Brad Brunell's proven that he has a track record of he can absolutely recruit the portal in a big way. But it does require money and funds to do that kind of stuff year in and year out. And here's my thing with Clemson. Why did we get rid of our collective? Like, I know the rev share happened and all that stuff, but I feel like the majority of schools out there did not get rid of their collective because NIL is still a huge thing. All the rev share is an addition to.
Yeah.
So I just feel like we continue at Clemson to put ourselves at a disadvantage when it comes to the world of college sports that we currently live in. Like, we just have to start leaning into that stuff a little bit better. And I know we're never going to have the money like a Texas Tech or a Texas or a Michigan or like all these bigger alumni bases, right, that have 1 billion people that graduated from their school and willing to give money. Like, I get that. But it doesn't mean you just shut it down and stop trying. Like, I mean, it's not like Clemson grads don't got money. It's not like they don't want to support. I don't know, man. But go ahead with you can keep going. That's just sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
But I mean, I think that's a great point because I mean, I do think this athletic. I think the university kind of jumped the gun when the rev share stuff was announced, and they were like they thought it was going to have a greater impact than it ultimately did. I mean, it's important. The rev share is extremely important, but I think they thought that this would almost replace NIL, and that's. I mean, it was naive to.
It's almost like how many times are they going to be fooled by like, oh, this is going to be the fix? There is no fix. It's over.
Yeah.
As soon as NIL became a thing, it will always be a thing. Always.
I agree.
And it's always going to be unlimited, and it's always going to be very unregulated. I don't care what committee you come up with that's going to quote unquote vet all the man, whatever. Yeah, right. Okay. So some random committee is going to tell fill in the blank university, hey, that's not a legit NIL deal. And what is fill in the blank university going to say? Okay. What are you going to do about it? What's the NCAA going to do about it? Yeah. Nothing. What do they do about tampering? Nothing. What do they do about kids that just leave schools? Like that kid did at Wisconsin and just go enroll at another school. Was he ineligible? Nope. He played. I mean, at a certain point, you got to lean into it.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to go be like, hey, we got to do the best we can and collect as much money as we can and build our rosters. That's how we have to do it. We're not going to compete with that, but we can do – you can't tell me Clemson can't do worlds better than they currently are doing when it comes to generating NIL funds.
Yeah.
I do not believe that. I think they are grossly mismanaging it. And it's affecting sports. You see it in the football team. You see it in the basketball. I mean, you see it everywhere. It affects us. You want to complain about Clemson pitching? Guess what you need to go get pitchers in college baseball. You need money. Those guys cost a lot of money.
They do cost a good amount of money.
Especially your big-time starters. They cost a lot of money. Right? So, I feel like there's a big mismanagement when it comes to the NIL collective. I don't know why we ever sunsetted that. Everything's going through Clemson Ventures now.
Yeah.
I think IPTAY and whatever NIL collective we said, like they have to start working together as co-partners, if you will, on generating funds. I think it's possible. You got to get somebody in there that's smart enough to work through this stuff. Yeah. There's a lot of other schools out there figuring it out that aren't huge either. So you can figure it out too.
Yeah. And IPTAY did just, they did just promote their new president. Now, that's a guy that's already been there. I don't know, operationally, how much does he plan to change?
Right.
But that's something to keep an eye on. Maybe. I mean, I don't think the people at Clemson are stupid. I think they realize they jumped the gun with some of the moves they made there. But I don't know. Like, I just think, listen, and we bring this up because I'm of the opinion, honestly, I don't think you need to go give basketball more money because I'm happy with the results in basketball.
Yeah, if Brad continues to do relatively what he just did, and every now and then win a couple games in the tournament, I'm fine with that. I got no problem with it. I have no grandeur thoughts of like Clemson becoming, Duke.
Yeah.
That's never going to happen. Nor do I really care for that to happen. Like, I would love for Clemson's basketball team to be that dominant, but the sacrifices that we would have to make as a university to make that happen, I'm not willing to do, right? Yeah. Like, I care more about our football team being dominant than I ever will our basketball team being dominant. Just full transparency there.
Yep. And so I think that's the thing that, like, because I think a lot of people in the chat, understand that, but like there are other people in our fan base,
yes,
that seem to think they can have it both ways. They can complain about they can complain about football and the problems there, but then also when you have a really good basketball program that's consistently that gives you a watchable product, that's been giving you a watchable product the last several years, and has been consistently making the tournament. They've been one of the best programs in the ACC. It's like it's not good enough. It's still not good enough.
We're still not for me.
Yeah, I'm like,
the run that they made in the ACC tournament was great.
Yeah,
was that not fun to watch?
That was fun.
I don't know what more people want.
Yeah.
And you can't have it both ways, right? Because there's a set amount of money, right? And if you give basketball more money, guess who's getting less money?
The other programs.
Like, it's not like it's unlimited.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it is a give and take, and Clemson is not. I mean, they're not poor, but again, Clemson University has one of the youngest alumni bases in the country.
Right.
They have guys that they have, some rich donors, but they don't have this plethora of pools they can pull from for dollars. That's just the reality. They're not again they're not poor. They have support.
Yeah, but they don't have a bunch of doctors and lawyers running around.
No, right? That's just not the case. Again, they're a lot of their alumni base, a lot of their donor base is in my age, and they're in their 30s. Like, that's where the large majority of Clemson's living alumni base is in right now. That's the reality, because and that's kind of one of the consequences of having a university that's grown as much as Clemson has the last 15, 20 years. Like they've, obviously massively, like in terms of enrollment numbers and all of that.
Yeah,
You're going to have a really young alumni base when that's the case. When you, as opposed to other universities, especially within the ACC that have been around and have had that level of prestige for longer. I mean, the Dukes and the Carolinas, they're always going to. Their enrollment numbers haven't changed that much. People have always been going to Duke and Carolina. There hasn't been a massive spike in enrollment like Clemson has had the last 20 years.
Not to mention, you see how many hospitals Duke's got?
Yeah. Exactly. So, I mean,
a lot of money in healthcare. I'm just pointing it out.
Oh yeah. I mean,
let's just be honest.
Look at Miami. I mean, they're another huge example of that. Like,
so a lot of money in healthcare.
If you've got when you have a really good setup there, you're going to be raking in the money. And Duke especially, man. I mean, they're
they got endless money.
Yeah.
Not to mention it costs what, $92,000 a year to go to school there. Good Lord, you imagine that, bro?
Yeah.
Ain't enough financial aid in the world.
Yeah. And they don't. I mean, and they do it the way that you have to do it to make that kind of money. You don't take a lot of in-state people. You take a lot of out-of-staters. You spike. Obviously, you drive up tuition costs. I mean, you're just allowed to do that as a private university. So when you're Clemson and you have other obligations to the state, like South Carolina does as well. So I mean, it's not unique to Clemson, of course, but any in-state public university, but especially when you're one of the two major universities in a state, you have certain obligations to meet in terms of enrollment numbers. How many kids are you taking in state? How many grants? How much financial aid do you give? All of those things are extremely important and play a huge role in how your dollars are ultimately generated and where your money pools and where your revenue streams come from. It's just very different as a public university.
Yep.
As a state like South Carolina that doesn't have that much in terms of major universities to go to. So that's the reality.
It's the nature of it, man. Mm-hmm. But I do think they could do a better job. I think Clemson has had several missteps at this point.
I agree.
So we'll see, though. We'll see. All right, guys. I think that does it. No, go ahead.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, when we get to the comment section, we'll talk about it. So
okay,
let you go.
All right, that does it for the planned portion of the show tonight, guys. Thanks so much for sticking it out this long. Now it's time to turn it over to you guys, the live chat, and see what you're talking about, what questions you have. We'll chop it up with you guys for a little bit before we get out of here on this fine Tuesday evening.
Yes, sir. Let's talk about it. Yes. That's right. I can't click on comments. But Arthur says, guys, I think you're thinking too small. I want Clemson to do better than just getting there. I love Clemson, and I want all the sports teams to win championships. I mean, and listen, in an ideal world, I agree. I mean, I obviously love that Clemson is trying to do better, and be a more holistic athletic program. I mean, obviously, I think they've made massive strides in terms of their women's sports teams. I mean, that was lacking for a while, and part of the reason was because they were facing some Title IX lawsuits there.
They had some issues.
Yeah, obviously the track team and the track, it was a really big point of contention. obviously you were able to stave that off. You know, obviously implement, and you were able to, you know, maybe assuage some of those concerns by obviously adding programs like softball, lacrosse, gymnastics, and all three of the, you know, all those programs have been largely successful as young programs, and that's really, really exciting. But again, Clemson is Clemson, and I don't think they have the infrastructure to be a true like all sports school. You don't have. I mean, how many universities can you point to that are really like that good? And the ones you can point to, what is their, you know, how much are they making? You know, what is their endowment? What is, you know, how much support do they get from their alumni? What does their donor base look like? I mean, when you think of the programs that you think of that just, you know, are, you know, good at a lot of different sports.
What's the size of their alumni?
What's the size of their alumni base? You know, what tax bracket is their alumni base largely living in?
Right.
Like all of those.
What are their major degrees? At that
exactly.
And look at those salaries that it produces. Right,
I mean,
which is why we talked about a Duke and a Miami, right?
Yeah,
produce a lot of doctors, produce a lot of lawyers. You know, like
Clemson doesn't have
people. Those people tend to make a lot more money.
Clemson we have, you know, pre-med and things like that, but they don't. Clemson doesn't have a robust medical programs. That's just they don't have research universities and research hospitals. They don't have those things, no. Especially in healthcare. You know, Clemson is agricultural, engineering, business. I mean, and those are, you know, important. And I'm you know, Clemson has really found, you know, they do well in those areas, but you're not going to have the same level of you know, alumni fiscal wealth that you see at programs like Duke, Carroll, and I'm not. We keep bringing up the Tobacco Road schools, but even the schools around the country. I mean, Texas. Yes. God knows how much money they make. I mean, they're good at everything because they can afford to be good at everything.
Yeah, they got endless money. It seems that they have endless money.
Yeah, Florida. I mean, football has been something, but everything else is Florida is really good. It's very easy to root for Florida because their basketball just won a national championship. Their baseball program is really, really good. You know, they're good at a number of other sports. I mean, because they have that that backing. Clemson just, you don't have that level of backing, and if you want to be a program, athletic program that's has national championship contenders at a number of different sports, you got to start thinking a little bit. I mean, we got to start thinking a little bit realistically. I mean, it's honestly, you know, with the way Clemson is, it's honestly really impressive how much they've improved their athletic department as a whole, because they do have a lot of competitive programs. You know, beyond
lacrosse is good. Gymnastics just won an ACC championship. Yep. You know, I mean, softball is a young program, but they've been really good. I mean,
they're really good. Your men's soccer team has won 2 national championships in the last 5 years.
Championships over on men's soccer.
I mean,
the golf team,
the golf team hit really good, and they're starting to trend back up. I mean, even your tennis programs are trending back in the right direction. So like, I think they're doing a lot of good things right now, but there's give and take there. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, when you're a program, when you're a university the size of Clemson, and with the backing that Clemson has, there's give and take. You have to make sacrifices. If you want one program to improve, you gotta take something from somebody else, and hope it doesn't negatively affect them too much. So, I mean, it is kind of a bind, and that's just kind of the reality of what you are as a university. You're not until Clemson becomes as big as those other schools. You're not going to be able to be good at everything.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, John. Duke did increase student fees. Yeah, they've been steadily doing that from what I remember.
Like I said, I think last time I looked, it was up to $92,000 a year tuition to go
Jesus
to Duke.
Christ. Yeah,
That's just crazy.
Yeah.
That is insane.
Yeah, I can't even. No.
If you're not on scholarship at Duke, I don't know. Your parents are.
Yeah, your parents must have their name on a building, because what is good God. Yeah, it's if I didn't even get into Duke, so but if I did, if I had, no shot I would have gone. I applied anyway because why not? But
I lied. They raised it to 94,000.
So that tells you everything. And Clemson has had to do that too. Clemson's gone up in tuition. They've raised student fees. I hear from. I see parents complaining on my mom is still in the Clemson Facebook groups, and she'll see those posts of parents complaining about student it's a huge problem in academia in general right now, especially at the major universities that are especially that have reputable athletic programs. You're seeing across the board student fees going up because of that. And these schools having to find new ways to generate revenue. So again, there's give and take there, and you have to make some decisions. You have to make some tough ones about what do you value, which programs do you value more, and legally you shouldn't value any program more than another. But let's be honest with ourselves. So
it's crazy.
Arthur says, what about naming rights if they partner with a big company, one that bring in more money? That it would, in the short term, but I don't know. I don't have the knowledge there.
I don't know what that looks like. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know what it would take to make that happen, because they would have to. That would have to go. They would have to get approval from that.
I would think so.
Yeah, as a public, I think I don't know. I don't know what channels they would have to go through to make that happen. I haven't heard anything.
You've heard talk of stuff across college, private equity stuff across college.
Oh yeah.
What are you giving up when it comes to that kind of stuff, and what is the return? I don't know enough about it to really have an opinion about it yet when it comes to that kind of revenue generating stuff. But
yeah,
I guess in this day and age, you got to get creative with it. So you got to at least do your homework on it and see if it's a viable option.
Yeah, James says, Miami is healthcare and law with some really good science research and advertising. Yeah, absolutely. I was down in Miami. I got this. I went by the university. My cruise in January. Didn't get to spend over there long, but I was like, I want to go see the campus, so we took a trip down to Coral Gables there. Very, very beautiful, and they have some of the best medical facilities in the country. That's state of the art, top grade stuff there. You don't have that here. You just don't. There's John says naming rights and private equity are in the same vein as far as investments. Both have ROI calculations. Fat cat NIL giving is mostly ego. Yeah. I think that you have to investigate both of those absolutely, and see if those are viable options. Because again, you're not going to get these massive donations from a bunch of big time donors. I mean, at best, you're going to get a couple of really rich donors that are going to help you out, and along with your stable of smaller givers. So that's you got to make that work. CJ says, if you think about it, none of the Clemson programs are bad. Credits and that. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've seen Graham Neff get criticism because obviously the football program has obviously taken a not a great turn, but I mean, collectively as an athletic program, I mean, you're more competitive across several, across the athletic department than you've been than I can remember. I mean, nobody's in the toilet as far as programs go right now. Like,
right.
Football, it may feel like it right now, but there's another level you can go and suck.
Yeah, let's try not to find that level.
Yeah.
I'm turning to Florida State out here.
Yeah. Good God.
Let me stop picking on Florida State before we actually turn on to Florida State.
Yeah. Yep. Even gymnastics is getting, yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Shout out to them. Won the ACC for the first time in program history.
John says, NIL and most of the top salary schools are still dominated by a few very high net worth people. Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's not like they benefit from tens or hundreds of 5 and 6 figure giving from attorneys, healthcare, etc. I agree, but the fact that you don't have, especially when you talk about things like healthcare and and insurance and things like that, like. Yeah, you're not getting like a bunch of those guys, but these big time donors are heads of massive multi-billion-dollar industries, corporations. Right. Like, where is that at Clemson? Like, who do you have at Clemson that is at that level? I mean, you've got some multimillionaires. You got plenty of you got some multimillionaire donors, and guys that have they have their own businesses and they've made their own money. In whether it's been business or finance and things like that, but you don't have you don't have the people that are heads of multi-billion-dollar corporations. You don't have a Phil Knight at Oregon like that. I mean, that's a very easy example to go to, but you don't have any of those guys, or even some lesser known names that are still in very powerful positions. In really, really lucrative industries in America. You don't have that level of wealth in your alumni base.
No.
And the guys you do, and if you do, I mean, they're not giving you, you're not seeing that money. So either way, you're still at a disadvantage. So I think that's the tough thing. I mean, you got to find that. CJ says, I'm of the belief Clemson doesn't have the big donor. For other schools, it was pretty obvious. Yeah, I mean, Clemson doesn't have the big donor. That's for sure.
Yeah, they don't.
They've got rich donors the scale we're talking about here is I mean, Clemson's richest donors are, I mean, they're making money that you and I will never see in our lifetime, but there's still levels to this. So, I mean, that's the reality of what you're working with in college athletics right now, and particularly football and basketball.
We're not like Texas Tech where Pat Mahomes could just write a massive check.
Yeah. Or any of their massive
or any of the other people that have ridiculous amounts of money.
Oil tycoons
oil tycoons that can just be like, yeah, okay. How much do you need? Yeah, I'll have my assistant send it over.
Let's see. John says college tuition is a scam. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you said college tuition because, like, people that say they say college. I don't think college is a scam.
No,
but like
the money they charge, however, I mean,
especially
when you're charging, I mean, let's basically call it $100,000 a year.
Yeah,
I don't think there's a degree out there worth that.
Yeah, that's nuts. Especially when you're not making that kind of money. Like no matter what degree you get, you're not making that kind of money coming out of college. You're like,
no,
you're not seeing
initially. Like you may get there
after 15, 20 years in your profession, and
once you do your time and work your way up whatever proverbial ladder that you're, the industry that you're in. But
unless you get really lucky, but it's.
I mean, sometimes it falls into your lap, but for the most part, no.
The large majority of people. I don't care what you. I don't care if it's law, law, business. You're a doctor.
You still got to build it up.
Yeah, and you're not seeing that return.
Because regardless of what degree you got, once you get out of school, you're a nobody. Like you're not,
Let's see. All right, let's do a few more, and then we'll get on out of here. Jane says, Florida State, how are you going to buy your way out of conference when you can't afford to buy out your coach's contract?
Hey, shout out Florida State.
Yeah. We said we weren't going to turn this into a FSU laughing space.
We might have to start a GoFundMe for Florida State.
Yeah.
They got to keep the lights on.
Yeah.
Hey, bro.
Rent money for FSU.
I guess they didn't get a break on any of them lawyer fees, huh?
No, they did.
That's crazy.
CJ says, what's your opinion of the state of the coaching staff? What grade would you give? Is this a staff you feel confident throwing an empty check to fix the program? In its current form, as a whole, no. I'm answering your second question first. No. As far as what would I grade it? I think it's. I mean, do you think a B- is fair? I mean, we there's enough names on the staff that you feel like you have enough like you feel like this is not like the most unqualified coaching staff you've ever seen.
No, it's certainly not unqualified.
You've got guys on this staff that have not not lived up.
Like maybe there's still some weak spots.
Yeah.
On the staff. I was obviously not a huge fan of the rehiring Chad Morris.
Yeah.
It's kind of grown on me since it's happened a little bit. Just by some of the ways that he's talking. So again, you got to do it on the field. But he's at least saying the right things, I guess. I was always a believer in the Tom Allen hire.
Yeah.
And now that he's been able to bring in a portal class, I think, might see some of those dividends we were expecting in year one and year two now. So, I mean, do I love the change you made at safety? No. I agree with the change that needed to be made at safety. I just don't know that you replaced it with as good as a coach as you could have.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I
know Tom Allen Jr. is going to be helping out a lot over there too, but he's still not the quote-unquote safeties coach.
Yeah. And
that's Nolan
throwing you're throwing another guy that has that just doesn't have really an
has
experience.
no coaching experience, not even no real, just no coaching experience over there. So I think, I mean, not saying he can't be a good coach, but that you can't count that as a positive, right? You got Ben Boulware over there, another really unexperienced guy when it comes to coaching football. Not that he doesn't know football, and I don't even really mind it that much because Tom Allen's the defensive coordinator and his specialty's the linebacker room.
Yeah.
So you feel like as long as he's the DC, it kind of doesn't matter, right? He's going to have that linebacker room ready, and that's a good guy for Ben Boulware to learn. And I think Ben Boulware's got the temperament to be a good linebackers coach, right? So I guess part of that's probably a little bit of bias from his playing days. The reason that I don't feel super negative about that. But there's still some spots on this team that I think that guys still got to prove themselves.
Yeah.
CJ Spiller comes to mind. I think he's still got to show that he's continuing to grow as a coach. His rotations a lot of times have not been the greatest over the years. Recruiting's gotten a little bit better with him. Nick Eason, I think this is maybe a prove it year for him on the coaching staff. Let's see what else.
Chris Rumpf.
Chris Rumpf. Same thing. Kind of a prove it year. I mean, you've seen some growth in some guys, but you need to see some more, right?
Yeah, honestly, the more we talk through it, I'm like, I said B-. I'm probably leaning more CC+. I mean, there is a lot of questions on this. Again, and that's not a bad grade. Like, I mean, it's passable. Like this staff is not in the worst shape it could be, and it's certainly not the most unqualified. Like, this is not like 2021, 2022 levels of what are we doing on the staff right now. But at the same time, there's not.
Yeah, look, I don't think it's a terrible coaching staff, right? Do I think it's an elite coaching staff? No, absolutely not. So, I mean, I think you're really good at some positions and you're shaky at others. And then at other positions, you're just completely inexperienced. Like, what is Nolan Turner going to be as a safeties coach? I don't know. I have no idea. So we'll see. I think it's somewhere in the C's, wherever you want to put it there. Yeah, is kind of where I'd label it right
now. John says Rumpf Lawson out of mediocre to solid. You guys are harsh as AF, delusional. I mean, you can say that. We didn't say that Chris Rumpf has done a poor job, and I agree with you on Lawson, but I mean, you didn't have anything to say about TJ Parker regressing in his final year,
right?
Why was the rest of that room not particularly good? It wasn't particularly good last year, and why your depth there was really concerning at times. I mean, I think that's something and that's not all his fault because he didn't recruit all those guys. But at the same time, you got to develop the talent that you have on the field, and obviously your stud didn't play like a stud
at all, not even close.
So I mean that as much
in a lot of ways he got outplayed by the guy you just mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, so like I'm not out on Chris. I don't think this is like a.
No, I'm not either.
He's on the hot. And when
I am saying that he has more to prove.
Yeah, he's got more to prove. Like I don't think this is a hot seat. I think maybe you guys are thinking we're saying like this is a hot seat season for Chris Rumpf. No. I think the progression of Jaheim Lawson has been really, really encouraging, and so I think it's a testament that he still has those coaching chops there. But you can't not talk about how poorly TJ Parker played last year. That's got to be part of the discussion, because that is a guy that had first round aspirations and may still have first round aspirations, because
we'll see where he ends up.
His combine tape. You talk about Darian Mayo. I mean, we've heard good things in the offseason, but we still got to see it on the field. So I mean, you still need proof of concept there. Because again, Jaheim Lawson is a guy that has been in the program a long time. I mean, and again, it's a good thing that Chris Rump was able to get another gear out of him last year, and maybe we see another one this year. But I mean, you still got to go and prove it. And I think what will go a long way is yes, Jaheim Lawson, continuing to play at a high level, but also, does Will Helt, put on, maybe does he find another gear? I don't know if he has it in him. I mean, I'm kind of the opinion Will Helt is a guy. He is what he is. He's a very good player, and he's going to be very good for you again this year. But if you can get another gear out of him, that would be great. But and obviously the younger guys, the Darian Mayos, does he take that step in his development? Did you hit on the transfers that you got? Is CJ Wesley going to be a guy for you, or is he just going to kind of languish in the rotation? I don't know. So again, this is not, when we say prove it, that doesn't always mean, for some guys that means hot seat. For some guys it just means, okay, we need to see a little bit more. I'm not fully sold. Like I'm not like 100% sold. Like, man, we've got the guy right now. Like, I don't think 100% right now Chris Rump is the guy, but that doesn't mean he's on the hot seat. I think he's still got another. I think he's still got more to prove. I think he's still imprinting himself on this defensive end room. So I don't know if we came across saying that the guys that were these are guys that are going to be fired in 2026 if they're if the season doesn't go well. No, that's not what I think. Now, Nick Eason, on the other hand, his prove it is a little different than Chris Rump's prove it.
His prove it is a little more urgent than Chris Rump's. Yes. Yeah, for sure.
So it's not a one size fits all thing when we say prove it. So I wanted to make that clear. All right. We'll leave it at that. I don't really see anything else. All right. That's going to do it for us tonight. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, as always. Thank you to all our channel members. Thank you to all our moderators. And let me shout them out real quick. We had a few in here tonight. You're going to have to click on them because I can't click on comments. But I know Arthur was in here.
We got our buddy John Sarian in here. Obviously, one of our OGs, moderator and supporter of the channel. Thank you so much, John. Let's see, who else do we have?
David Lowry was in here earlier.
Arthur is in here.
Yes,
thank you so much for being in here, being a moderator, sir. We appreciate your support. David Lowry's in here. Thank you, sir, for being a channel member and supporting. Let's see. Anyone else? I know Air Mike was in here earlier.
I think was he? I missed him.
I saw him at the beginning of the show.
Oh,
I don't know if he had to.
Oh yeah, there he is. I see him. Yep. I don't know if he commented again after that, but he said, "Hey guys." So shout out to Air Mike as well.
Oh yeah, Air Mike. There he is. Thank you, sir. for being a channel member and supporting what me and Jordan do here on the All In Show. Thank you guys so much for being in here. Hit that like button if you have not already. Consider subscribing, which I'm sure all of you guys are. If you're here on a random Tuesday in April to talk about Clemson football, I'm sure you guys are subscribed. But go ahead and check in to make sure anyway. And if you're not, hit that subscribe button. Me and Jordan do this show, again, every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Got some guests to that are going to be coming on here shortly. So we're trying to line up a couple guests this summer for you. So stay tuned for that. If you guys have anyone in mind, feel free to leave it in the comments. And we will try to get anyone you guys put on. No guarantees. Yeah. We might be too small for some people. So no, I'm just kidding. But we'll see. You know, whoever you guys put in, we will make an attempt to try to bring on the show this summer. So thank you guys all for being here tonight. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and we will see you next Tuesday, same bat time, same bat channel. And until then, I'm Tiger Paul Craven. He's Jordan Bowman. Go Tigers.
Later, y'all.